Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.
The Checkpoints talked to the Vice President of EBA, Irina Sak, on the growing dependency of Georgia on Russia's economy and what type of signal that is for the acting and potential European investors. CEO of the Publicis group Caucasus came to Georgia in 2006 from the Netherlands and from then established and managed Publicis group marketing and communication agencies Publicis, Zenit Media, Optimedia, Saatchi and Saatchi in Georgia and Caucasus region. Established Publicis Georgia as a major marketing hub for the CCAR region, Caucasus and Central Asia. She holds a Master of Art and Master of Communication, active within the sales and marketing field for more than 20 years with networking connections and big international experience, providing strategy, consulting and marketing advice and services to the international brands entering the Georgian and CCAR markets, as well as to the Georgian brands for the EU and CEE markets. Georgia's growing dependency on Russia and its economy. This is our topic today that we have been discussing in this studio with several guests. Is EBA also worried about the tendency that you are seeing right now?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I agree, it's very highly discussed topic. And as you already had an interview with President of EBA, and I can repeat the same, we represent European companies who is working in Georgia, and Georgian company who is trading or working with Europe. So we don't have any request, any worries from our members yet, because all our members, they don't have any ties with Russia and they don't really trade with Russia. However, all this informational bias, of course, it's affect investors. And you're from media, I'm from communication, so we all know how it works when you're focusing on many aspects, which is create very negative way. From our point of view, yeah, of course, it's we can see tourists, we can see all other, say, relationship like lifting the visa from Russian side. From communication point of view, and I agree with many people who say this, it's a new wave of provocation from Russia, and it's how the Georgia response it will be seen by Russia, its weaknesses or strengths. And
what does Russia see at this point?
Yeah, I think we all experience this provocation, not only Georgia. If you look to all our neighbors countries, Russia is meddling in election of many countries in the same time, from Europe, Central Africa, and others. So I think it's quite obvious. So every period between the elections, you can see many provocation, many things which divides the society. And this is why for Georgia, and I think for Georgian society, it's very important just to unite and just instead of focusing on all these negative topics, think what we can do and how we can really focus on positive development. We meet in with Parliament, we're meeting with many members, and I must say, Georgian economy and Georgian law are very open, very democratic, and it is one of the key issues why many companies is here, because doing business in Georgia, it's really more and more like doing business in Europe, and this is what we try to do. So the only thing is that we believe it can be all this positive approach and all the steps when Parliament or government negotiate with European Union, these 12 points, with any other questions should be addressed and should be easily communicated. And this is what is really missing from our point of view.
Yeah, is it, I was listening to you and thinking to myself, is it easy to be in communications during these types, especially dealing with European businesses, and what do European investors and your members get out of the whole picture? Because on the one hand, they are listening to the Prime Minister of Georgia inside and outside Georgia on multiple global platforms, where he says that, for example, we're not part of international sanctions, and we will become part of the international sanctions when Georgia joins EU. And on the other hand, you see facts, right? Like, for example, revenue service trying to find and trying to fix and trying to kind of like comply with international sanctions. You see the financial sector that's trying to comply with international sanctions. What type of messages are these for the European investors?
Well, for European investors, I think for any investors, the more important is to make sure that the country where they invest the money, it's safe for the investment. Not so many investors is really worried about political way, because it's a democracy, it's open democracy, and we are talking with you now. Government is talking, opposition is talking. It's really, I must say, the Georgian one of the democratic country in terms of communication. So we're not afraid that we might say something which is affect us. So this is normal, and this is the way how democracies work. However, for businesses, it's important to see positive sign and positive messages for them, just to make sure that in the long run, when they invest, they feel safe and they can really work harder. Because if you look to the European members, like Bulgaria or Romania, it's many issues on the table, or Hungary. In Bulgaria, for example, they have like 5 elections in the last 3 years, so it's democracy. So of course we can see that it's not easy for country just to go in the ways they choose. But for investors who invest in Bulgarian economy, it's a healthy sign, because the government and opposition, they communicate in the ways that it doesn't affect business and it doesn't affect investment. So the same in Georgia. So we can hear a lot of bad news, negative news, and we know that good news travel fast, but bad news travel faster. So when European investors see this fragmented communications, they try to understand what is going on. From communication point of view, we don't see like one voice communication for businesses.
What about the image of the country?
Well, image this is why it's important that it really affect the image from outside, because when you see this popping on news, negative news, which is create kind of instability, it's raise concern. And it's not about political instabilities. We can see quite steady movement, and European ambassador was mentioned in one of your interviews that they're working very closely with the government and they have very good steps. And however, it's not communicated. It's not communicated within the country. So if the country and people more see some negative news, it's not communicated outside. So we see that it's very fragmented communication, which is not control. The narrative should be controlled. And if you think about investment, and especially after the war, like one of the example you can see, it's like Kazakhstan. They immediately built campaign to bring all the investors who live in Russia, all European companies or American companies, to move to Kazakhstan. It was a very stable program. In terms of financial incentives and law, Kazakhstan may be not the best country. Georgia has much better situation and can offer more in terms of logistic as well. So basically, if you just do campaign and just try to explain investors that it's really safe, it's much more profitable, and you can build and you can invest, it can just remove these negative narratives about our North neighbors.
I wish it was that easy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but anyway.
Thank you so much.
The Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.